Let's move on now to my favorite podcasting software. And number one on the list has to be OBS, Open Broadcaster Software, for many reasons. Number one, it's free. Number two, you can use it for live streaming. Number three, you can use it for screen recordings or just recording inbound video feeds. There's all sorts of stuff that you can do with it. You can put overlays on it and little transition stingers. For a free software, a free open source software, you really get a lot with OBS. So I personally don't see a reason to go out of your way to pay a bunch of money unless you're doing, big time broadcast production work. There's really no reason to get anything out other than OBS for streaming. I love it. I have to put Zoom on the list as well of podcasting software. I know it's not, or at least so I've heard. I haven't actually experimented with other options yet, but I've heard, like a Riverside FM, I believe is a video conferencing software that people say gives you a little bit better quality than Zoom. But as far as like industry standards go, Zoom's very versatile. It's allows you to record if you do interviews with people. Zoom's just kind of the go-to for a lot of people. I've used it a lot. Actually, in fact, in my last episode where I interviewed Sean Porter, we used Zoom. So Zoom is great. Notion is another piece of software on my list. I'm actually looking at my Notion app right now. This is where I do all of my to-do lists, all of my note-taking, and I'm sure I haven't even scratched the surface of how to use Notion. I know there's a lot of different add-ons and things you can use with it, but for me, it's note-taking, and I kind of use it almost as a teleprompter when I'm doing my podcast. So I use the free version of Notion. I have never had a need to pay for Notion at all. So Notion's kind of like Google Keep or like Evernote. So if you are in need of something like that, check out Notion. There's a little bit of a learning curve with it, but once you start kind of filling it out, if you're anything like me, you won't be able to live without it. Then we got to talk about the Adobe products. I'm a big Adobe guy. So Adobe Premiere Pro, Adobe Photoshop, and Adobe Audition are kind of my go-tos. And you could throw Adobe After Effects in there as well. The intro of my show was created in Adobe After Effects. Premiere Pro, obviously for video editing. Every episode that I finish is edited and finalized within Premiere Pro. I also do most of my audio editing within Premiere Pro because a lot of the effects that are available in Audition, which is their audio editor, are available in Premiere Pro. If I ever need to do anything a little bit more intensive, I'll move over to Audition, but most of the time it's in Premiere. Then you have Photoshop, of course, for thumbnails. You can't do any better than Photoshop. Photoshop's just the best. And then After Effects, like I said earlier, After Effects is great for doing kind of animations and things like that. And I'm not that great at After Effects, but I know enough about it to kind of get by.